Hey everyone, welcome. Do you want 13 speed on the cheap? Do you want drivetrain flexibility? Do you now have arthritis in your hands and you can't really ride your beloved rim brake bike anymore? Do you want to upgrade it to something more modern like 12, 13 speeds? Well, these days we're in luck because aside from the expensive options from SRAM and Shimano, we have WheelTop. They just released this, a wide range gravel group set called the GEX. Let's see what this is about and how it compares to their road and mountain biking options. And you could argue that WheelTop is ahead of Shimano because right now they have a 2x drivetrain for road. They have the mountain bike EDS OX group set that you see here on my Yeti Arc. And with this GEX, they are pretty much at the level of SRAM, the only company that today has drivetrains or wireless drivetrains for both mountain biking, gravel, and road. And with the purchase of Rotor, with a huge presence in Europe and North America, would you say that these guys are just getting started? Let me know what you think in the comments. I would love to hear your opinion. And by the way, if you like this kind of content, please remember to like and subscribe. It definitely means a lot for a small channel like mine that are not media conglomerates. Thank you. And while I mentioned cable actuated brakes in the intro of the video, I have with me their new hydraulic disc brakes, which I think are a good step forward. So what is the difference between the new GEX, the Road TX, and the OX, the MTB version of their group sets? With this being a gravel drop bar group set, you do get road-like shifters, and you see here the carbon version of the shifter. They also have the aluminum one. But if you look carefully here, these shifters are actually identical with the road shifters, something that's clearly stated here on the rubber of the hoods, EDS TX. So you have two buttons here on the right and also get the one button here on the left. It's interesting because you can set this up so you can shift one direction with the right, one direction with the left if you want, like a car paddle type of setup. Also, this GEX gives you the flexibility of using the mountain biking, so the OX transmitter, if you want to use this for a flat bar setup. Obviously, that is firmware here in the derailleur that even though it comes with road shifters, it is quite different than a road derailleur. You have the carbon pieces here and on the cage as well, that's on the road, that are gone. This is made out of aluminum, very similar to the mountain biking counterpart. But if that EDS OX derailleur uses a long cage and big jockey wheels, here you only have the 93 or 75 millimeter length cage. The jockey wheels, 12 tooth top and bottom. The bottom one has a narrow wide profile, and that is the same on both. Now, having the GEX compatible with the road group set not only means that you can set this up in a 2x drivetrain, which by the way, many of you guys might be interested in, because you can set up a mullet, or SRAM users call it the mullet setup, in which you combine road components, in that case with mountain biking, in this case with the GEX. That's gonna give you the access to that 75 millimeter cage that gives you access to an 11 to 46 tooth cassette. And number two, you get access to this. If you remove that little cover, you can see here a damper system. Use an 8 millimeter socket to adjust the damper. The cage is pretty tight the way it is. I would try it the way it comes from the factory. And these two limit screws, remember this is electronic, so those are just safety. You don't really have to play with them that much. Battery of the GEX is still not removable. It is more stylish. It seems to be slimmer. It's definitely smaller than the mountain bike equivalent. And it uses the same magnetic port to charge the battery. For some reason, the charging LED is right there underneath the cable, so that's where you would have to look for this. And I assume you would like to know the weight. Here's the road, 325. Here's the mountain bike, and 391. And here's the GEX. This is the long cage, 93 millimeters, 410 grams. Now, I have to admit that I'm a bit disappointed that this is heavier than the mountain bike, especially when the specs mention 375. I assume that's because of the damper they install in here that might be heavier than what they used on the mountain bike. I don't know, but this comes up to 410 grams. And I mentioned firmware in the derailleur. Obviously, we're talking about software as well. The WheelTop app is the same one that you've seen me using before with the mountain bike and the road group sets. Yes, they're still working on translating using proper English. Yes, it's a bit convoluted, but you know what? It does work. And by the way, if you ask me about how to install this, I'm gonna point you at this video up in the corner. And just like with all their other group sets, these come paired from the factory. So straight out of the box, you can install this on the bike and it's gonna work just fine. And now that you know everything about that centerpiece of the new group set, which is the derailleur, let's look at these new brakes because WheelTop has introduced something that's quite different from the road calipers they shipped before. It's very easy to see that they made their calipers slimmer. They still use the Shimano compatible pads. These are filled up with mineral oil. You still have a bleeding port here on a side. But if you look here inside, what you're gonna see is that this new caliper actually uses ceramic pistons, just like the more expensive Shimanos. For the pad retaining pin, they use that same E-clip, which I really don't like, very easy to lose. But if you can find the Shimano one, it fits right in here like it was designed for it. On a close look, you can see how they removed a lot of material from this old caliper just to make it slimmer. And I'm curious what's the weight reduction for the new. Here's 116 grams with that 90 centimeter hose. And the old caliper with the same hose length, it's 145 grams. So they managed to shave off 30 grams from the old caliper to the new. I bet my money a lot of people are gonna ask for this new caliper with their hydraulic group sets. So having had the chance to touch and feel all their group sets at this point, what do I think? Well, number one is I was skeptical, and maybe I'm still a bit skeptical about the long-term reliability of their products. But I've been using their mountain bike group set for the last few months, and one thing that I can tell you is that not only that it shifts well, but it doesn't give me as much chain slap as the SRAM axis equivalent. So I don't know if that tells me anything, but for now, that group set is on my hardtail and is there to stay. Having had the chance to play with the road and now the GeX gravel group set, well, I haven't had the chance to install these on any of my bikes. Those are gonna be winter projects. However, I like the fact that they seem to be improving their products. And with the introduction with the GeX, you now have a lot of options. You can mix this with the road components, with the mountain biking components. If you're dreaming of getting that mullet setup on the cheap, something that many SRAM users do, now you have WheelTop, which I think is great. I always encourage competition, and these guys seem to take it seriously. I mentioned at the beginning, they just bought Rotor. So what do you guys think? Are you interested in any of the WheelTop products? Have you had the chance to try any one of them? Let me know in the comments below. Let me know if you have any questions. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, and until next time, I will see you folks on the trails. Cheers, guys. Cheers.